Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today we will be covering OpenAI's new cybersecurity platform called Daybreak, Google turning Android into an AI-powered operating system with Gemini intelligence, and Anthropic making big moves on both AWS distribution and multi-agent coding workflows. Starting with OpenAI, the company just unveiled Daybreak, a frontier AI cybersecurity platform aimed squarely at defenders. The idea is to help security teams find vulnerabilities, validate patches, analyze software dependencies, improve threat detection, and bake security directly into the software development process. OpenAI is packaging this with Codex as the agentic harness and a roster of heavyweight security partners including Cloudflare, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, Oracle, Zscaler, Akamai, and Fortinet. The structure here is worth paying attention to. Daybreak offers tiered access, a default GPT 5.5 tier, a trusted access for cyber tier for verified defensive work, and a more specialized GPT 5.5 cyber tier for authorized workflows like red teaming and controlled validation. That tiering is essentially OpenAI's answer to the dual-use problem. The same model that can reason across a codebase to patch a vulnerability can also reason across a codebase to find one to exploit. So instead of keeping these capabilities purely behind research previews, OpenAI is leaning into controlled commercial deployment with vetted partners. Cloudflare's CTO Dane Connect said OpenAI's cyber capabilities could bring stronger reasoning and more agentic execution into security workflows. Translated, that means agents that don't just flag a problem, but actually chase it down, draft the fix, and validate the patch. And there's a regulatory wrinkle here too. Reuters reported on Monday that the European Commission has welcomed an OpenAI offer to provide access to its cybersecurity tools as part of an EU cyber action plan for trusted European actors. Commission spokesperson Thomas Regnier said they've had 4 or 5 meetings with Anthropic, but haven't yet reached the point of discussing access to Anthropic's models. So OpenAI is moving first on both the product and the government access front. Moving over to Google, which used the Android show I/O Edition to preview Gemini intelligence. This is Google's most aggressive push yet to turn Gemini from a chatbot you open into an intelligence layer woven directly into Android itself. The pitch is that Gemini can now automate multi-step tasks across selected apps, with transparency controls so users can see what it's doing. Think building a grocery cart straight from your Notes app, or chaining actions across food delivery and rideshare without bouncing between 5 different interfaces. Google's developer blog put it plainly, saying, Android is transitioning from an operating system to an intelligence system. For developers, the big news is something called AppFunctions, which lets apps expose their services, data, and actions to the OS and AI agents using natural language descriptions. Google is explicitly framing this as more controlled and MCP-like, meaning developers get a structured way to plug their app into the agent layer, rather than every app having to build a full agent from scratch. The strategic tension is obvious. If Gemini becomes the front door to apps, app makers gain reach, but lose some direct user relationship. Rollout starts this summer on the latest Samsung Galaxy and Google Pixel phones, then expands in waves across foldables, watches, cars, XR glasses, and laptops through 2026. That cross-form factor ambition is the real story. Google isn't just upgrading phones, it's trying to make Gemini the connective tissue across every screen you touch. Now to Anthropic, which had 2 notable launches on Monday. The first is Claude Platform on AWS, now generally available. This is more than just Claude on Amazon's cloud, because Claude has been available through Amazon Bedrock for a while. The difference is that this gives AWS customers access to Anthropic's full, native Claude platform, with all the latest features, while still using AWS authentication, billing, commitment retirement, and CloudTrail logging. That matters for enterprises that were stuck in a trade-off between native API features and cloud procurement workflows. The AWS version includes Claude-managed agents, web search and web fetch, code execution, the Files API, skills, the MCP connector, prompt caching, citations, and batch processing. Claude Opus 4.7, Sonnet 4.6, and Haiku 4.5 are all there, with new models shipping on day one going forward. Tomas Oliva, a platform engineer at OpenRouter, said the setup gives users direct access to the latest and greatest features of the native Claude API, while controlling access through AWS IAM. There is one important caveat. Anthropic, not AWS, operates this service, and data is processed outside the AWS boundary, so Bedrock remains the right choice for customers who need AWS itself as the data processor or strict AWS boundary data residency. Anthropic's second release is Agent View in Claude Code, a research preview for managing multiple Claude Code sessions from a single interface. Anyone running coding agents today knows the pain. Terminal tabs everywhere, tmux layouts, separate agent states, and no clear view of which agent is stuck waiting for your input versus quietly making progress. Agent View collapses all of that into one dashboard, where each row shows the session, whether it needs user input, the last response, and when you last interacted with it. Developers can peek at sessions, answer in line, attach to full transcripts, background an existing session with a /bg command, or launch a brand new background task. Anthropic's framing captures the workflow shift well, saying, Agent View lets users jump in only when Claude needs you, and steer many all at once. That's a meaningful conceptual jump. We're moving from one developer pairing with one agent on one repo toward one developer supervising a small fleet of agents working in parallel. Agent View is available now on Pro, Max, Team, Enterprise, and Claude API plans with the usual rate limits.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.